John answered, Master, we saw someone casting out demons and in your name, and we tried to stop him. Now, this is also amazing to me because, hold on, you said you saw someone casting out demons? Yes. Oh, you saw someone doing something that you couldn't do just earlier? Yes. And what did you do? We tried to stop him. Oh, okay. Why? Because he's not part of our camp. He's not in our band. He's not our people. And Jesus said, don't stop him. The one who's not against you is for you. Why would you try to stop him? The next problem exhibits a failure in tolerance. The disciples tried to stop somebody from doing a good thing because he wasn't among their group of disciples. And I think the lesson here is a lesson in tolerance. Frankly, I think we need this lesson more, and we need to consider how it might apply to us today. Maybe I'm off my rocker here to share this with you, but let me just share my take when I think about this passage and how we can apply it today. There are people of faith who believe different things, and they worship different places, and they even practice different things. Those differences of truth, listen to me, and practice do need to be addressed if they differ with God's word. So don't take this as Josh is saying, well, we should just accept people for how they are, and we shouldn't try to change anything. There's no such thing as false teaching. No, there is. There's such a thing as false teaching. There's such a thing as false doctrine. There's such a thing as false practices that have to be addressed and have to be dealt with. Jesus defines a true disciple as someone who abides in his word. John 8, 31 and 32. So we have to do that. But let's not stop or rebuke someone when they're doing the right thing just because we're not in the same camp on other issues or we wear the same name on our sign. Because there can be good things that happen, right things from some of those people. I'll give you an example. I'll give you a personal example for me. My daughter goes to Liberty Christian. There's other kids in here that go to Liberty Christian too. I do not agree with all of the tenets and all of the doctrines of Liberty Christian School. I'll just come out and say that right now. Do not agree with faith-only salvation. Do not agree with Calvinism. Do not agree with those tenets and doctrines. And I think we have to speak out when a Christian school teaches doctrines that are inconsistent with Christ. But I will commend and I will celebrate the fact that they do teach doctrines that are entirely consistent with Christ. I appreciate that I do not have to fight evolution there like I did have to fight when we were in the public school. I appreciate the fact that they stand for traditional and biblical marriage because I was beginning to have to fight against those things when my daughter was in the public school. So I will commend their stance in teaching on the inspired scriptures and what they believe about biblical marriage. I know that they believe Jesus Christ is the Son of God. I will not try to stop them when they speak in those areas because the one who is not against you is for you. And I will commend them for those things. But we do have to stand. We do have to stand when people believe and teach things that are different from God's word. Clearly, there was nothing that they were doing here that was different. It's just that they weren't in our camp. And so they couldn't fathom the fact that maybe there's some things that even though they're not in your camp, that they're doing right. There's authors, there's podcasters. I'll give you a second example. There's authors, there's podcasters, there's apologists. I do not agree with some of the things that they teach, but I'm not going to be afraid to quote them or commend them when they do speak truth in other areas where they're consistent with God's word. I've had people tell me, you should not quote anybody if he's not preaching at a place that have the words Church of Christ on the signage. Based on this passage, I think Jesus would tell you, you should back down on that mindset and appreciate others when our convictions and practices are in agreement with the Lord. There's a need for tolerance and a need for balance in how we treat others. Let's commend where we agree, but let's also deal with where we don't agree. Jesus says, be careful of being intolerant just because they're not among us when they're doing the right thing.